Hello, everyone, and welcome to another session of Careers Beyond Academia, hosted by Stem Cell Network and Medicine by Design. My name is Ellie Arnold, and I'm the training specialist at Stem Cell Network. I'll just start with a couple of housekeeping notes. First of all, the session is recorded. The talks from the speakers will be recorded, and then we'll turn the recording off during the Q&A session at the end. Each person will speak for about 10 to 12 minutes. And then, as I said, we'll turn off the recording as we go into the joint Q&A panel discussion session. And during the Q&A at the end, we'll start with a couple of questions from the moderator, and then it will be open for the audience to ask questions. So to ask questions, please put them in the Q&A box that you'll find at the bottom of your screen. And please feel free to put your questions in there as we go through the talk so that we have a good bank to pull from. We are thrilled to be co-hosting this series with Medicine by Design. Our goal is to expose as many trainees as possible to different careers that are available after a degree in the life sciences and start to understand the qualifications and experience necessary to secure those roles. SCN and Medicine by Design have teamed up to host this series, which has already highlighted a wide variety of careers available after a degree in the life sciences. And you can see past Beyond Academia recordings on SCN's YouTube. We had new sessions coming out monthly through the year. Today, we're excited to have two speakers who will tell us about their careers in medical affairs. Stem Cell Network also offers other training events, so check out our websites and social media for the many other opportunities both Stem Cell Network and Medicine by Design offer throughout the year, including workshops, seminars, and symposiums. And don't forget to sign up for our newsletters. And links to the sign up are provided on our respective websites. And those attending today might be particularly interested in a webinar that Stem Cell Network is hosting tomorrow, which is titled A Fireside Chat with Biotech, which is going to bring together human resources and recruitment personnel from Canadian regenerative medicine biotech companies, which will give you the chance to hear about industry experts discussing the skill sets and attributes that recruiters value in new hires. And as soon as I finish speaking here, I'll drop the sign up link in the chat in case you're interested in that. So with that, I'll go ahead and introduce our first speaker for today's session on medical affairs, Michelle Francisco. Michelle is a dynamic medical affairs professional with over a decade of experience spanning the pharmaceutical, healthcare, and academic research sectors. She is currently serving as the Medical Excellence and Operations Manager at Astellas Pharma Canada. So I'll let Michelle tell you about the rest of her background. I'll hand it over to Michelle. Please go ahead and share your screen.
Thanks so much, Ellie, for the introduction. Let me just pull up my screen. I'm just confirming you can see my slides.
Yep, that looks good.
Okay. Again, hello, everyone. First of all, I would like to thank the Stem Cell Network and Medicine by Design and the organizers for inviting me to speak today and share with you my career experience, as well as talk about careers beyond academia, specifically in medical affairs. I recall attending many career fairs and seminars during my grad school days, and I found those to be very helpful in figuring out what career path to go on after graduation and beyond. So I'm very excited today to be on the other side and share my experience and hopefully impart some insights and advice as you embark on your own career journey. Again, my name is Michelle Francisco, and I'm currently a medical affairs, medical excellence and operations manager at Astellas Pharma Canada. I hold a master's in molecular genetics from the University of Toronto. And also I took a postgraduate certificate program in clinical research from Seneca College. So here is a snapshot of my career timeline. And I would say, although it's displayed as linear, I wouldn't say it was really linear. It's more like a winding road with some minor detours along the way. On the bottom line are my education and or certifications or courses for professional development that I've taken over the years to support my career. And on the top is my career experience. So I'll start off, I have my bachelor's from Manitoba. I did this before moving to Toronto for my master's. And after my master's, I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do. And luckily, my grad supervisor at the time let me stay in the lab to work as a tech for a couple of months while I figure out what I wanted to do. At that time, I was interested in being a clinical research associate. So that's why I took the clinical research program at Seneca. And while I was in that course, an opportunity came. One of my graduate committee members put me in touch with a PI that was coming to the hospital for sick children. So I did stay in academia for a bit. I worked as a lab manager at Sick Kids Hospital, also as a research associate. I also volunteered as an events coordinator for the research staff committee, where I was in charge of putting on events like this one for staff technologists. Also, at that time, I finished my certificate program, volunteered in the emergency department into this program called PRAISE, which I was a clinical research coordinator, screening patients in the emergency department for studies. I was at Sick Kids for about 5.5 years. And when the pandemic hit, parts of our lab shut down, so I didn't really have much work to do, so to speak. So that kind of lit a fire, and I started to explore other opportunities outside of academia. I got really interested in project management, so I took a course at U of T. I really liked it. So my first job, our entry into the industry, was at CTC Communications, which is a medical communications agency who works with pharma companies, physician organizations, and healthcare organizations to develop medical education and medical communication content for healthcare professionals. I started there as a coordinator, moved on to become medical lead, and then eventually medical director, where I led a team of medical writers with content development. Because I was a people leader, I also took a course in women in leadership from the Harvard Business School before transitioning into my first pharma job as a medical affairs operations lead at Janssen Pharmaceuticals, which is the pharma side of J&J, Johnson & Johnson. From there, I was there for 2 years, and then last December, I started this new role at Astellas Pharma as the Medical Excellence and Operations Manager. So a quick glance on what medical affairs operations is. Typically, the background for roles in this area require a university degree, so a bachelor's or master's in health science, life sciences, pharmacy, or a related field. Some people might have an MBA or additional certifications in project management or medical affairs. Some companies also may require a minimum number of years experience in pharma, so typically anywhere from 3 to 5 years. Potential salary range for this role, it could vary by experience and as well as company size and location, but typically ranges anywhere from 100 to 150 plus $1,000 a year. So what I do in a sentence is really hard. There's a lot, but essentially I oversee the medical planning as always, and also establishing the operational framework for medical affairs to ensure that the activities in medical affairs is executed efficiently. This includes scientific communications, publications, grants, studies, advisory boards, etc. And also cross-functional collaboration to support the company's strategic objectives. So in a nutshell, I'm a program manager for medical affairs. And the key skills, I guess, for this role would be, again, project management and organization. Typically, many of the medical affairs initiatives involve multiple stakeholders and tight timelines. So it's very important to stay organized to ensure that these are executed on time and within budget. Problem solving and process optimization is also key. Identifying bottlenecks early, as well as improving workflows to ensure everything is streamlined and the plan is executed faster and is aligned to regulations. So knowledge of compliance regulations is also really important. Pharma is a highly regulated industry, and companies must adhere to strict regulations to maintain credibility as well as avoid legal risks. So we want to ensure that there's efficient and compliant processes throughout, which protects the company as well as the patients that we serve. Collaboration and stakeholder management is key. Medical affairs serves as a bridge to bridge the gap between science and business. So effective collaboration ensures that the strategies are adapted to local needs while maintaining scientific integrity. And oftentimes you work cross-functionally and in a matrix environment. So it's important to be able to work with diverse people effectively. And you do this by communication and scientific storytelling. So being able to really simplify and communicate complex medical data ensures that the scientific insights that we gather are understood by all stakeholders, anywhere from executives to the field medical teams. Budget management is an important skill to have as well. Medical affairs must balance scientific impact with cost efficiency, so proper budget management to ensure that resources are used and effectively to maximize the value of our initiatives. And another thing is also use of digital and data analytics tools. So whether that's customer relationship management, project management tools, data analytics tools, to ensure that the decision making that we do is data driven, and also overall to improve efficiencies and process in our medical interactions. So typical activities, my day-to-day is usually a mix of strategic planning, project management, as well as cross-functional collaboration. But some of the key activities are listed here. So for example, medical affairs planning and execution, I would support the development of annual medical plans and monitoring those to ensure that the teams are aligned on project milestones and deliverables. And also sometimes I'm involved in the execution of those initiatives. So that includes advisory boards, educational events, as well as scientific communications. Process and compliance oversight. So I oversee the review and approval process for our grants, sponsorships, and investigator-sponsored researches. And I ensure that these comply with internal and external regulations. I often work with legal, regulatory, and compliance teams to ensure that our activities align with industry standards, as well as monitoring our standard operating procedures, so SOPs, and recommending any improvements for efficiency. I do a lot of budget management, like I mentioned, and this involves managing our relationships with external vendors, whether that's medical communication agencies, event organizers, to ensure a smooth project execution. I also track the medical affairs budgets to ensure that funds are appropriately allocated and aligned with our strategic priorities. And finally, a lot of data and technology integration, as well as stakeholder collaboration and communication. So I act as liaison between global, regional, and medical and local affiliate medical teams to ensure alignment on key initiatives, preparing presentation decks and reports for leaderships, summarizing impact reports and key learnings. I use platforms and analytic tools to track and report on our activities, and also just providing operational support for the teams to ensure they have optimized workflows and streamlined processes. Like I said, every day is different, but that's what makes this role very exciting. So why my role is important? The medical affairs operations is critical in ensuring that our scientific strategies are executed while maintaining compliance and process efficiency, as well as fostering collaboration across teams. My role is essential for aligning the strategy with execution to enable delivery of high quality medical education, research, and stakeholder engagement activities, which ultimately support patient care and scientific advancement. I enjoy the cross-functional collaboration of my role and the opportunity to work at the intersection of science, strategy, and operations, and also seeing the direct impact of efficient medical affairs programs on healthcare professionals and patients is rewarding. Additionally, I like the variety of projects that I do, the problem-solving aspect, and the continuous learning in a dynamic industry. Some of the challenges associated with my role are balancing multiple priorities across different initiatives and projects, as well as stakeholders simultaneously. I also navigate through complex landscapes and ensure that we are compliant with evolving industry and regulatory standards, and also adapting to these industry trends and the digital transformation. Also driving or optimizing operational efficiency and innovation while maintaining scientific integrity, as well as working within budget constraints could be a challenge. And ensuring alignment between global, regional, and local teams to maintain consistency in execution. and also managing stakeholder expectations across different departments and as well as external partners. So this role offers a strong foundation into advancement into senior leadership roles within medical affairs and beyond. You could also be a medical affairs strategy lead. If you're interested in a more scientific role, an MSL or a medical advisor could be another trajectory. And also you can go into healthcare consulting or business operations leadership in pharma or biotech. Okay, so some career planning advice, network. You can also find find mentors or career coaches in the industry. So join LinkedIn groups, professional associations, attend these kinds of events to connect with professionals and recruiters. Connect with your alumni and mentors, reach out to those who work in pharma to learn about their career paths. Use informational interviews to explore different roles and expectations. Leverage your scientific background and gain industry awareness. So your ability to analyze scientific data, write publications is very valuable. So make sure you highlight those skills in resumes as well as in interviews. Learn about the pharma industry and understand, so you can take courses on drug development, regulatory processes, and just stay up to date on different rules, regulations, and understand the compliance and industry standards. While you're in academia, you can gain experience by seeking out internships or fellowships. So some pharma companies do offer these kinds of like medical affairs internships, which can then provide you with some hands-on experience. And also, hone in your soft skills. If you're interested in operations, project management, you can position running your experiments, grant writing, coordinating different research projects as project management experience, communication and collaboration. So industry work is very collaborative. So experience with teaching, public speaking, or interdisciplinary teamwork is a plus. And also, if you want additional training or certificates, although not required, you can consider a project management professional certificate or Lean Six Sigma certification. You can take online courses, like I said, on drug development, pharma regulations, or medical affairs in general. And finally, just tailor your job search, tailor your resume and job search approach, highlight your transferable skills. Use of industry knowledge can set you apart. And also, if you want to consider different entry points, you can look for roles such as medical affairs associate, MSL, communication specialist, or operations coordinator as a starting point. And this is my last slide. So finally, just be proactive and open to learning. Transitioning from academia to pharma requires a strategic mindset and positioning and understanding how science meets business. So again, your scientific background and expertise is really valuable. You just need to position it effectively for these industry roles. Gain industry knowledge, again, consider internships or fellowships. Stay proactive, build and actively network and connect with industry professionals, and just be open to learning to make this transition smoother. And finally, you can find me on LinkedIn. I'm happy to connect and chat further. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much, Michelle, for a great talk and for that great advice. And as a reminder, we'll be taking questions for both talks after our next speaker. So if you have questions that you'd like to ask Michelle, please feel free to start putting them in the Q&A box. And with that, I'd like to go ahead and introduce our second speaker, who's Dr. Bryan Tennant CD. Bryan has spent over 5 years as medical science liaison, first in vaccines and then oncology, and has more recently assumed the positions of scientific director for vaccines and then scientific director for GSK Canada. So he has a lengthy bio that I'll let him dive more into. So please go ahead and share your screen and I'll hand it over to you.
Perfect. Thanks, Ellie. Everything should be good to go.
Yep, looks good.
Wonderful. So again, similar to Michelle, thanks very much to the Stem Cell Network and Medicine by Design for inviting me today. And I look forward to answering any questions once I get through my talk. So as Ellie mentioned, I am currently the scientific director for GSK Canada. We're a large multinational pharmaceutical company that's based out of the UK and operates in over 100 countries globally. Our organization is involved in the development and marketing of medicines that span 4 key therapeutic areas: vaccines and infectious diseases, respiratory immunology, specialty care, which incorporates a number of different disease areas, and oncology. We also have a subsidiary called ViiV that is focused exclusively in the HIV space. Now, as an organization, we have the ambition to impact the lives of 2.5 billion people around the world over the next decade. And this is done primarily through the innovative medicines that we develop. And so by assuming roles within medical affairs, you can see that you can really have a positive impact on a very large number of patients, not just here in Canada, but around the world. As far as credentials go, I have a master's in molecular biology and biochemistry from Simon Fraser University and a Ph.D. in cell and developmental biology from UBC. So as a from a career timeline perspective, so I started my career at UBC, having moved here from South Africa, and entered into the biochemistry program. And to be honest, this was not necessarily fully planned. Growing up, I actually wanted to be a game ranger, running around the African savannah, treating lions and elephants and zebra. However, after getting into this program and really enjoying what I was doing, I transitioned into a master's program at Simon Fraser, where I was studying ciliary signaling, specifically in the context of polycystic kidney disease, leveraging flagellated green algae as a model organism to study those signaling mechanisms. During this time, I also was a member of the Canadian Armed Forces as a combat engineer, and right after my master's degree, took a gap year, which was a great opportunity for me to work at the Winter Olympics in Vancouver. And I must say that my military experiences really provided me with a lot of learnings that have been beneficial, not only through my academic career, but also now in my corporate career. I then returned to UBC, as I mentioned, to do my PhD in cell and developmental biology, where I was studying cell death signaling in the context of type 1 diabetes. Unlike many of you on this call, I did not participate in any form of self-education or awareness around industry. It was never on my career path. I didn't know what options were open to me, and it was only serendipity that allowed me to enter into the pharmaceutical industry through a friend of a friend of a friend. Initial opportunities fell through, and then I randomly applied to GSK, and the rest is history. What you will note, though, is that I started out my industrial career as an MSL in vaccines, which has nothing to do with anything that I had studied previously. And so that really is one pearl, which I will get to in the later slides as well. Right around the start of the pandemic, I switched out of vaccines and moved into oncology, which is a very fascinating area just because of the pace of research and advancements that's happening, and obviously the significant impact that disease in particular has on patients. I am though very fond of working in the vaccine space and had an opportunity to move back into that team as the scientific director. Did that for a couple of years before some restructuring allowed me to move into the scientific director role, which now covers all of the therapy areas that I mentioned earlier, covering things right from preclinical R&D development all the way through to health and science policy. So it really is a very diverse role that I find myself in now. In terms of what this role is, what you need to do to get to this particular role. So at a minimum, a PhD in science or a medical field is required. And from most of my experience, even the MSL roles that I was in previously require you to have either a PharmD or a PhD. And so that honestly really is the minimum that you would require. The salary range is pretty good, depending on your journey to get to such a role. It could be anywhere from 160 to over 200,000, especially when you start to incorporate some of the benefits that come with these types of roles. With respect to what I do on a day-to-day basis, basically I oversee and coordinate research and health-related activities across the product life cycle, as I said, from preclinical development all the way through to health system change. What this requires of me from a skill set perspective is really strong interpersonal skills, matrix leadership capabilities, because I'm not really leading a big team of my own and interact with individuals right across the organization. Business acumen is critical. Broad understanding of the health and science ecosystem, as well as an ability to build connections across disparate fields. Again, working with academics, government officials, public health sector, nonprofits, industry, biotech. So that really is crucial. As I said previously, I kind of stumbled into industry as a career option. And so really, as I was going through my degree, my only other option that I had considered was to eventually become a professor. I let that ship sail, but and I'm very happy that I did not go that path. So some of the typical activities that I'll be engaged in, I work very closely with faculty leadership at academic institutions to support health policy shaping. I work with key national organizations as they strive to implement health policies, science, knowledge translation. And that really is in an effort to help them understand the science behind our medicines so that they know what to give to which patient and at what time. I convene workshops. I participate as a keynote speaker at conferences and other scientific events. One example, I presented on a panel at the Senate on antimicrobial resistance, which was a really cool experience. Internally, for our medical affairs teams, I provide that national perspective and insights on what the medical environment looks like so that we can help develop our business plans. And then the other aspect is liaising with academic institutions, small biotechs on developing partnerships around research and the development of new products. So my role is incredibly important as a conduit for Canadian research innovation to our global organization. Most of our R&D footprint sits outside of the country. And so ensuring that our global functions see what's happening in Canada is critical. Why I enjoy this role, I really love science. I love talking about science. And this role in particular allowed me to interact with some of the most influential people in the country that can have a significant impact on the health of a number of different people at scale. which is really rewarding. It does come with some significant challenges, though, in that the breadth of therapy areas that I cover, the range of activities from preclinical to health policy is incredibly broad. I'm traveling every second week at a minimum all across the country. And a lot of the impact that I'm trying to create doesn't happen on typical business timelines. So there's a lot of justification to the organization that tends to work on much shorter timelines. As I look forward to the future of my career, to be honest, I could be happy in this role for the next 10, 15 years. But other roles that I am considering: medical head for a particular therapy area, global medical director, director of external R&D, and maybe, depending on how things go, jumping into politics once I'm done with industry. So as all of you consider your future career opportunities, as I mentioned earlier, don't limit your search to those fields where you have existing expertise. Many of my colleagues have entered industry through fields that they have no background in. And it really is, as Michelle mentioned, what are those soft skills that you've developed during your training that can be applied to any role in industry, really? Aligned to that, if industry truly is your target, many people go in thinking, well, I have a Ph.D. and a scientific background, I'm going to go into medical affairs. However, it's a lot easier to find roles within industry once you're in industry. So if there are roles like sales or marketing that allows you to get in, don't discount that because it's not that medical affairs role that you ultimately want to find yourselves in. As you progress, you will definitely need people manager skills. So definitely look for those opportunities, whether it's within your academic careers or in an extracurricular setting. Much of mine was done through the military. And it doesn't have to be on a large scale, but just being able to demonstrate your ability to lead people is important. And then lastly, relationships are key. I often say my role is a relationship broker. You can be the brightest person in the room. Many of you on this call are probably far brighter than I am. But if nobody wants to work with you, that skill is really not that worthwhile. And so really take the time to think about your own personality style, how people see you, how you interact with those individuals, how you can mirror and match. And there's all different personality type programs that you can take to establish that, but really focus on that relationship building aspect, and it will serve you right through your full career. So lastly, I just wanted to throw this slide up to give you a sense of, and this is just for the local operating companies. This doesn't even account for a host of other roles that would exist in a global organization like ours. So you can see there is a vast breadth of opportunities within medical affairs, MSLs, which most people are very familiar with, as well as other roles in medical information, pharmacovigilance, health economics, and outcomes research. So those are just some options that you would have open to you in the medical affairs field. And so with that, I'll stop sharing and you can go to questions.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And on behalf of Stem Cell Network and Medicine by Design, I'd like to thank both Michelle and Bryan for fantastic talks.